Farcaster 101 is an educational series brought to you by GM Farcaster in partnership with Snickerdoodle, building off of their State of Farcaster report, which you can access at Snickerdoodle.com. This 12-part series introduces all aspects of the Farcaster ecosystem and helps you get started building your social graph and brand on Farcaster. We're back, GM Farcaster. This is the last module, module 12, and we're covering channels and communities. And I'm really excited. So Adrienne, we are at the end here. And we just have a little bit left. We're going to talk about channels.
This is the best topic.
Communities and how to create communities on Farcaster. So
it's literally the best topic. No, it's just the best topic to end with because Farcaster is about community. And we touched a lot in this in the culture modules about the URL to IRL connections and kind of how, but at the end of the day, people are finding a lot of value in Farcaster because they're able to create community, connect with people, learn from each other. So it's a great module topic to end on.
Awesome. So for this one, we are going to talk about channels and community. We're going to cover types of channels again and just kind of do a quick review of that. Channels as communities and some channels to follow that we really love and how we think they add to our ecosystem. So as we mentioned, types of channels, we have some that are more like hashtags. They're public channels. They act sort of as a signal of where you want to cast this, and they also provide a great place to find information on a particular topic. So for example, some of the larger channels that fall into that category are the Farcaster channel and the Warpcast channel, and we'll talk more about some of these examples as well. Then we have sort of brand channels that are a little more announcement focused and communities. So we're going to dive into each one of these. So public channels, let me start here, are channels that are set to everyone in the moderation, and they allow anyone to cast and reply. So if you look at who can cast, if you are a moderator of a channel, of an owner of a channel, you'll see this option where you can change it to everyone or members only, and then set up some moderation around that. So some public channels like the Farcaster channel and the Warpcast channel are set to public, and there are quite a few others as well. And I believe this is where it's defaulting to now. If you start a new channel, which we showed you in the last module, how to create one, it will automatically set to everyone, and then you can change it to a different type of moderation. And Adrienne, can you talk about brand channels and how brands are using channels as part of their strategy?
We just see a lot of brands will come in and create a brand account. The good brands also have good intern accounts, as we've talked about in former modules and earlier modules. But we also recommend that brands create a channel. It's like think about it as like a home base for your brand, or almost like your booth at an expo. If you're at a conference, it's like your place as a brand. So lots of examples. Base has one, and it really is a place that the brand itself can control in terms of announcements. But the best ones are also using it to create community as well. So it's a place for the customers or users of the brand or people who love the brand to come and either talk with the brand or talk with other kind of fans of the brand as well. So base is not just for the core base team to post, but anyone building on base can come and ask questions. Rainbow, I think, has a channel where people who are using the Rainbow wallet will come in. You can and give product feedback or bug reports. So it's almost like, just think of it as like a corner in Farcaster where you can connect directly with your users. So it's definitely recommended when you come into Farcaster as a brand, you should spin up a channel and use it to do a lot of your brand work.
Absolutely. And you can use it, as I mentioned, like Rainbow, as a customer service portal as well. So I would definitely say that creating a channel is better than creating a Discord at this point for your brand. You might want both for different reasons, especially if you have some sort of complex things going on with your particular brand. But having a channel gives you this public face that anyone can find, but also you can manage who can post in there as well. So it could be just that the brand is casting, or it can be that anyone is casting within that channel, but also being able to find each other in relation to that brand.
Yeah. The brands that do the customer support really well too will do kind of like a public customer support. And the ones that do it well will sometimes have other other fans answering questions, like community
Yeah.
answering questions for community. So an example of this is there's a NANAR channel. NANAR is an Farcaster infrastructure company. We've mentioned them a few times in these modules. They have a channel. There is customer support that you can access directly through email and Telegram and get one-on-one support. But if you're having problems with or challenges developing something on NANAR and you post in the NANAR channel, very often you will get an answer from just another user and who will answer. So it's just kind of that public help. And I did that yesterday and it was very helpful.
Love it. And yeah, it can really create a quicker feedback loop as well. So if you have other users who can answer that question and they're willing to do so, it definitely helps to move things along without having to wait, especially since a lot of at least the Web3 teams can be fairly small. You might have teams that are 1 or 2 folks and you're using something and you need a quick answer, and sometimes it's easier to get that answer from other users. So great unlock there for brands. And then we have channels as communities, and there's sort of 2 different types. There's the community that exists elsewhere that comes onto Warpcast and creates a presence there via a channel. An example of that is Nouns. So Nouns, which is a DAO, which a lot of folks know within Web3, sort of made a decision, decentralized decision, to sort of move the conversation over to Warpcast and have that be sort of a home base for discussions around proposals and what's happening within the DAO. So a little different approach than a lot of other DAOs that are primarily using things like Telegram or Discord, and making it much more public so that the larger Nouns community, not just the holders, can access and participate. And you have communities that have developed via Warpcast and Farcaster, and Hire is a great example of this. So Hire is a token as well as a community and sort of a vibe, if you will. So it's a little bit of everything, and sort of at its core, it's a headless brand. So the community itself is what's building the brand and the vibe. And this is all happening within the Hire channel on Warpcast. So that's where it primarily exists, and where folks within that community find each other and find information about what's happening with it, with Hire, and from all different aspects, whether it's the token, the art, or other aspects of the community, people building on top of that brand. Burr Friends is another one, which actually started kind of a fun way. Burberry on Warpcast and Farcaster was a professional poker player, and I think she's retired, but started a poker club for fun within the Farcaster ecosystem, and then didn't launch a channel at first. And one of the community members launched a channel for that community because they wanted just more of a space to be able to talk about what was happening with the games and things like that, and sort of, stoke the rivalries and all those kind of fun things. So this is another fun use case for communities within Farcaster. What else should folks know about building community within channels, Adrienne?
I just say there's like an infinite, I think, number of communities that could be built on Farcaster. So other examples, there are location-based ones. So there's kind of city channels for you to connect with local people. There are it's almost like there's a community for anyone out there, and then if not, you can go start your own. From a Farcaster technology perspective, not much else to cover that we haven't already talked about. Everything you've ever heard about building a community, though, also applies in Farcaster. So building strong community is not easy work. So it's the really good communities, I think, are following all of the kind of the best community building practices, which can be slow and methodical, which is why I think we showed this in the last module, why there's so many channels that don't have activity and so many communities that don't get built. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I would add.
All right. And then we sort of have these topic channels. So we have channels that are developed around a particular topic. They provide an opportunity for folks to come together to talk about that topic, to share things about that, to ask questions. And here are some of our favorites. The food channel, which is always, it's your typical share your dish with what did you just make this today? Or it can be sharing recommendations about different restaurants, or it can be sharing recipes, different types of things. We've also seen Galazio, who has shared actual cooking demos within the food channel, as well as her own channel called Galazio's Kitchen. Or I think Galazio is actually the channel, but Galazio's Kitchen is her videos. And then we have things like the art channel, which covers all different types of art. And that one is a public facing one. Books channel, which also hosts AMAs with authors. And who manages that channel, has been great about gathering different types of authors, bringing them into that channel to answer questions. And then the parenting channel, which is a lot of fun, especially for the new parents, finding help with the new ones and asking questions and having different community members answer questions about, whatever parenting topic that is, or just having general discussions. So these are a lot of fun. And then we have some that kind of dig down a little bit more. Adrian, can you talk about some of these channels around topic channels and events as well?
Sure. So just continuing on, we've got Silicon Valley Daily, which is /SVD. This was a channel that Farcaster founder Dan Romero started. I think as a experiment in creating better content on Farcaster, where he's really just kind of posting daily tech news into Farcaster, and that's a relatively new one, but has good content there. The Founders channel is massively popular, and this is because there are so many founders on Farcaster. So as you can see,
definitely also, one of my favorite channels for two reasons. One, it's like having your own little advisory board if you're a startup without having to actually have an advisory board.
Meaning you can ask questions. So like if you are a founder and you are struggling you can post questions to this channel and other founders will answer.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And then also this is another channel that's had some great AMAs. And we've had, Vitalik has done an AMA, Brian Armstrong, Gary Tan from Y Combinator. So there's been a lot of pretty amazing folks within the crypto space who've done some AMAs in their channel as well.
Yeah. And then there are Farcon channels, which is event specific. We've seen ETH Denver ones, we've seen DevCon channels. So there's a channel called Farcon NYC. This is for the Farcaster user conference that is in the works right now. It's planned for May 2025. So channels like that will spin up. I don't expect this channel to be very active in years from now, but these are kind of these temporal channels that pop up for specific events as they come up, which is like a place to gather for certain events. We've seen also kind of events throughout the past year that have popped up with channels like debate channels when there were debates during the presidential election this year. There was a boxing channel that came up during a famous Mike Tyson, Jake Paul boxing event. What else? What other
During all the
events?
different sporting events like Super Bowl and World Series, whenever there's a big sporting event moment, there's usually going to be either, if there isn't an existing channel, then someone will create one for that moment. And that's been a lot of fun as well, to kind of drive that engagement into one space so people can find each other who are experiencing that same event at the same time.
And you may be asking, why not a hashtag then? Should
Why
we
not a
answer that
hashtag?
question?
Why not a hashtag, Adrian?
Farcaster is very opinionated about hashtags. So people come from other social networks and can't figure out why we don't have hashtags. The reason that is hashtags, the cost of creating a hashtag is zero and you get no additional tools. So as soon as you create a hashtag that has any amount of popularity, it tends to get spammed and the quality of content goes down. People interject because they want attention. So hashtags have never been on Farcaster. They never will. The opinionated design decision was that you're paying to create channels because that adds a little bit, the right amount of friction and it's showing your intent is there. But then you also get all these moderation tools so that you can kind of control for who is allowed to post and cast. So if someone comes in and tries to spam your channel, you can kick them out. And that was a decision, I think, that Dan made early on and has stuck with, and I think has proven to be really good because it helps improve the quality of
definitely
of content within channels.
I think that a lot of the decisions within channels that we're talking about a lot of that is around how do we manage spam? How do we help to create quality content and make it engaging? And a lot of these decisions evolve around that. And I think that a lot of it's still experimentation and trying to figure out what works best. So you'll see when, recently channels changed a little bit and there's been this sort of adjustment period where, okay, that worked. Oh, that didn't work. And then try sort of making those adjustments. And that's, the nature of a brand new social network.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that does happen.
And that comes up a lot, are these kind of design decisions based on various trade-offs. And a lot of people, especially in the crypto space, just really want to push for decentralization and just freedom, right? Any sort of constraint on anybody can be seen as an insult to their existence. And it's like, or do we stand for free speech or not? So if you start to see kind of what appears as constraints or restrictions on speech, there has been time where people get upset about it. However, you have to look at the trade-off, because if there are no constraints, you end up with slop, like at work, right? Slop and also just some really bad things.
And also there's a channel for slop.
Spam. Yeah, I'm sure.
There's a slop channel.
And generally what we found is people don't want a social network that is full of
slop and spam. Yeah.
Slop and spam.
Yeah. I think it's the trade-off on time, right? So one of the things that Dan, one of the founders of Farcaster, has mentioned a few times is the tax on time. And when you have a lot of spam and a lot of slop, it's a tax on your time trying to sort through to find the good stuff. So a lot of these tools and approach have been around that thinking of like, how do we make sure that the quality users who love it here can do so, continue to cast great content without having to sort of go through the slop to get there. Great. One more thing that we want to talk about is channels and rounds. So rounds.wtf is a site that you can go and check out all the different rounds that are happening within Farcaster. A round is a way for a community, person, channel, what have you, to distribute a grant to folks who are posting good content under particular requirements. So what I mean by that is, for example, Base Builds holds rounds that if you've built something on Base, you can post what it was that you built that week, and you will receive a portion of a set amount of a grant. Say it's 2 ETH for that week. You'll receive a portion of that based on the number of likes that your cast gets in that channel during that round. So if you have a channel, you can go to rounds.wtf and set up a round to happen within your channel that you own and set up the amount of grant, whatever that is. It can be ETH, it can be DGen, it can be higher. All different tokens are allowable on there. And you set the requirements for that particular round, what you want to see, what any other requirements for participating that might be there. You can also, within the rounds interface on rounds.wtf, you can disqualify essentially certain casts that maybe don't fit the requirements, and make sure that your round is hitting the points that you want it to hit. So some other channels that have some really great rounds are the Nouns Animators channel. So it's for animation involving the Nouns art. And even the Nouns channel itself has some really good rounds for posting quality content in there. But anyone can use this tool. It's been built by the Nouns community, but it is integrated into Farcaster, into Warpcast, I should say. And any channel owner can use this tool to do a grant program and to encourage great content in their channel. And I think that's it for rounds. And that is it for our whole Farcaster 101 series. So Adrienne, why don't you do a little wrap up of what we've covered in this series of 12 modules?
Yeah. First of all, congratulations to you for making it through all 12 modules. Hopefully you are equipped to be very successful on Farcaster, understanding all the little quirks and what makes Farcaster unique. Just to recap of the 12 modules, module 1 and 2, we covered an intro to Farcaster and how to create your account. Modules 3 and 4, we did everything about frames, what they are, how to use them, how to create them yourself. Modules 5 and 6 was all about Farcaster's culture and vibes and what makes Farcaster culture unique. Modules 7 and 8 were all about cryptocurrencies and meme coins, which was very topical because 'tis the season for meme coins these days, especially on base. Shout out. Modules 9 and 10 was all about content creation and different strategies for how to create your first 100 casts and build good content on Farcaster. And we just finished up with modules 11 and 12, all about channels and creating community. So that is everything you get for Farcaster 101, which is really just touching the surface and the basics of Farcaster. Yeah. But hopefully you found this valuable, and we're really excited to welcome new people to Farcaster, the future.
And the best way to stay up to date from this point forward is to join us on GM Farcaster. And we stream live, generally speaking, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, usually at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, but we replay the stream as well as provide a recording so you can stay up to date on all the things. And you can find that recording anywhere you get your podcasts. And that will help you stay up because it is an ever-changing environment. I guarantee you, literally, by the end of this week, something will be out of date in everything that we just did. So that's just the nature, again, of a startup, and things always changing. But that's also what makes it so exciting and so fun to be on Farcaster. So that's it. Anything else, Adrienne?
Really, it's just fun. It's so fun. It's fun. We love it. No, I think that's it. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you on the timeline.
We'll see you on the timeline. Tag us, say hi. And with that, we say bye-bye.